Hi guys, my name is Nonema Tegela. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So today, let's talk about Ramsipile, something that he did. Guys, he got sick and tired of Sibanda and his new processes that they keep infecting Sibanda and Baloi and their new processes they keep inventing. So while there was back and forth of some sort between Mnisi and between Mnisi and the prosecutors, Ramsipile decided, you know what, I am sick and tired of something that I've been watching happening here. He called the prosecution out when it comes to that one particular thing. And he was like, that's it. That's it. This is evidence in chief. Can you guys please chill? Give us a break, okay? Give us a break. This is what happened. I wanna go through it point by point, okay? Guys, during the evidence in chief of accused number 3, Tobisi Mncube, defense counsel advocate Ramsipile objected to repeated interruptions from the prosecution. His complaint was that the state prosecutors were continually raising objections and comments while while Mnisi was still leading his own witness. Evidence in chief is the stage where the party calling the witness is expected to present that witness's version with minimal interruption, subject to legitimate legal objections. Ramsipile argued that the repeated interventions were disrupting the flow of Mncube's testimony, the defense's strategy, and the witness's ability to explain his version fully, which is exactly what was happening because every time the state is hearing something that they are not impressed with or something that they see or they anticipate that it's going to a direction that is going to put them in bad light, they are quick to object. They are quick to object, and some of the objections that they were busy doing and commentary that no one asked them, it was unsolicited, even advice or helping or whatever, they were just doing things that are out of the ordinary. Hence, Ramsipile got up and said, I am unlearning what I know. I understand that as a lawyer, I will learn until the day I die. But what I see here, it keeps making me unlearn the things that I know, and it keeps uneducating me. And he was not impressed at all. He decided, he said, this process, it's unheard of. This is the first time. And in this courtroom, I keep seeing processes that I have never seen before in a court of law. And that landed in a way that you are like, oh, Ramsipile, we've been asking which process is this? Because every morning Sibanda gets up and say, my lord, I want to put this on record. What the hell was that? So Ramsipile was not happy, particularly with that situation, just like we've been questioning as people that are watching the case. And why was Ramsipile frustrated? His concern appears to have been that the prosecutors were objecting before hearing where the questioning was leading. From a defense perspective, this creates several problems. One, it breaks the witness's concentration. Mncube had already spent days explaining complicated issues involving identity parade evidence, witness descriptions, alleged police investigations, and his own version of events. Constant interruptions force a witness to repeatedly stop and restart explanations. This is what Ramsipile is hating on because he's like, what the hell? What the hell? What are you doing? I see right through you, state. I see what you are trying to do there. You are disrupting Mncube for a reason. It has nothing to do with the bloody objections or commentary that is helpful or whatever. Secondly, it allows the state to influence the pace of the pace of the defense case. The defense has the right to present its case in the sequence it considers appropriate. Ramsipile's complaint suggested the prosecution was attempting to dictate how the defense should lead its own witnesses, which is true. Which is true. I agree with Ramza. It risks revealing defense strategy too early. Every interruption forces counsel to explain why a particular line of questioning is relevant. Many advocates avoid this because it effectively reveals where they are heading before they get there. Now it goes back to what I was saying, the anticipation part. They are anticipating what Nisi is going to say, and they want to know beforehand. Okay, if he's going this direction, that means he's gonna do ABCD, and that means I can counter what like this, which is unfair. And the prosecution's position is that they are arguing because they are duties to object when they believe questions are irrelevant, inadmissible, leading, repetitive, or contrary to the rules of evidence. That's their perspective. Remaining silent could allow inadmissible evidence on the record, so this becomes a balancing exercise. The defense, on the other hand, says, allow us to present our case. The state says we have a duty to protect the integrity of the proceedings. And when it comes to this state, which is these two prosecutors in the Senzo case, they are the last people to be even thinking like that, because most of the wrong things were done by them. Any thing that looks dodgy in that courtroom was done by the state. Everything that is dodgy was done by the state, so they are the last people to be even worrying about it. The only reason they are worrying is because they know their case is taking. That's it. That's why they are data selling. In fact, the objections and commentary is because they are data selling. Now, because of that, nearly every answer from Ncube potentially affects one of the central issues in the case. The prosecutors, therefore, appear determined to challenge anything they believe steps outside the permissible scope of the evidence, according to them. Now, this is a strategic battle because the defense is like, allow us time to do our evidence in chief in peace. You guys, when your time comes, you will do whatever, you will fix all the mistakes and whatever in your cross examination. And the state is like, never. Never. The state, meanwhile, appears intent on limiting what reaches the record if it considers parts of the testimony objectionable. This creates a courtroom tug of war over control of the narrative, which is why these guys are busy doing that. Now, the bigger picture in all of this is that this exchange illustrates that the defense has moved beyond simple denying the allegations. It is now actively challenging aspects of the investigation and presenting Mncube's own account. That naturally increases friction between the parties because the prosecution is testing the admissibility and relevance of the defense evidence, while the defense insists it should be allowed to present its version without undue interruptions. So, for us people who are observers, the exchange was less about courtroom theatrics and more about a fundamental procedural question. How much latitude should the defense have in leading its own witness before the prosecution intervenes? The answer can influence how clearly the defense's narrative is placed before the court and ultimately how the evidence is assessed alongside the state's case. So, right now, all we can understand is that they are pushing a certain narrative and they don't want anything moving from that narrative that they already pushed into the record. Now, whenever there is someone who comes in who talks against that narrative, the state starts to worry. They worry a lot and they start doing these uncalled for objections that don't even make sense. And I like what Drumsipile did there. He was like, hold my glass of beer because we've been watching this. What is this? What process is this? I like exactly how he put it. I am unlearning things that I've learned and I'm learning new things here. And these processes are unheard of. I've never seen them. And now it made me remember what Imnisi was saying about someone who said, teacher, don't teach me nonsense. The nonsense that is happening there is uncalled for. What are your thoughts when it comes to this? If you like what you see on this channel, please make sure your notification bell is on. Please make sure you subscribe, you like, you comment, and you do all of that respectfully and you share to your friends and family. And I'll see you on our next video. Bye bye.